Ready? Hey,
Now we're ready.
welcome guys. So my name is Chris. I work here as the head test jumper. Today's tutorial is just to take you through what we do as an in-house pack job on a layer or a Petra. So this is applicable not just to those canopies, but canopies that are very similar. It's by no means like a manual. This is just what we do. A few tips you might be able to pick up on and take away. But yeah, so just running through the gear. Trusty Vector 3, standard debag and pilot chute, and a brand spanking new layer 69. So I'll get stuck in.
So while this is going on, guys, feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Keep them short and to the point, and we'll try and get as much as we can answered.
So I don't want to run you through a bunch of basics, but we all know about trying to keep everything even and symmetrical. It's applicable here as anywhere else. So I start with any normal pack job, just counting up the cells, making sure I get the nose, and then I separate the A's and B's with my hand. Put my hand through here. Okay, and at this point, this is my personal preference, is just to get the slider out of the way, just so I can see a little bit more of what's going on. And start flaking. We've got a question. It's just my preference, so I can actually see the pack job a little bit more clearly. And yeah, I don't know. That's just how I do it. There are other ways people do it. That's just the way I do it.
Like obviously, if you pack with the slider down, that's not incorrect. I do that personally. It's just to each their own, really. It's just mainly that you tidy this part of the canopy up. Whether you do that with a slider above your head or down on the canopy still is really personal preference.
So you can just see I'm just separating the lines as you would on any other pack job. There's nothing particularly like rocket sciencey here. Once I've got to this stage, I bring the slider back down. Now, there are two schools of thoughts on this. You put in the slider outside or the slider inside. As long as I think it's quartered evenly, this is my preference and this is what I do. But I make sure that I've got all the grommets down to the slider stops and that it's kind of quartered as best I can from here. I'll redress this in a bit, but for now I just need everything kind of sat how I want it right now.
How important is it to have your A-lines even?
Like as important as anything else. Like again, I'm going to be able to tidy everything up a little bit later on. But yeah, I mean, the more symmetrical you can keep things, the better. So from here, you'll notice I've not really done much with the tail. I don't see the need. You can spend hours fluffing around if you want, but I just don't think it's going to make any difference.
Do you, at this point, push your slider all the way down? You punch the middle of the slider? Or?
No, I don't. I do that after this bit. So this is the stage where I think I see a lot of people making a very minor mistake, and that's bringing the warning label up too high over the lines. I'll give you a bit of an example. So if I over-exaggerate this and I bring it all the way up here, you'll notice if you get in there, Chris, you can see I'm disrupting the D lines down there, and you're probably pulling some other lines in as well. So that's a big no-no, because that's a good point where these lines can make contact with each other. My preference is to bring it up just above the grommets and then push down. So I'm kind of creating a bit of pressure on top of the slider stops and the grommets. And then from here, I hold it with my forefinger and thumb, and I'll just gently start to wrap the pack job around itself. And I'll switch hands. I'll just do the same thing. Again, trying not to disrupt it too much. You can see I've not put my knee in much there, just a little bit.
Some people do that as well, Brocky.
Yeah.
You might notice that you're shaking the tail when you're bringing it around.
Yeah.
Some people do it in one clean motion. Is there a pro and con to that?
No, as long as you're doing it, consistently and not disrupting the pack job, it doesn't matter. That's just the way I prefer to do it. So once I'm here, I've got my thumb kind of controlling the lines, and again, I'm still creating pressure and pushing pressure down on top of the slider stops, and then I'll bring the nose out from between my legs. Hey. And this is when I start to tidy the slider up properly. So I'll begin starting here, and I'll move my hand all the way through to the tail, and I'm pushing down here. It's hard to see, but I'm pushing down here. I'm just making sure that this is, again, as symmetrical as I can get it, and I don't expose it too much. So go.
Does it matter if you don't turn your grommets out?
I prefer to turn them out. That's the way I do things. I think it helps present the slider a little bit better to the relative wind on open.
Opens it up a bit.
Yeah, just what's it doing.
Yeah.
I don't do anything with the nose. I just make it sure it's tidy and looks symmetrical on both sides.
Can you tuck the nose in, or?
So I have seen people do it. I don't. I just prefer to leave it like this.
Do you think it helps, or?
My personal preference is thousands of jumps on this canopy. I think this is the best way to go.
On this one, she sounds pretty crispy on layers.
It's always a funny Chris. Okay, so from here, I'll just start to, again, you'll notice I'm just starting to edge it round like some people do it in a clean sweep. I don't. I'll start to get the tail together and I'll give it a bit of a shake to clear the nose out the way. And then I'll switch my hand up here a little bit and then I'll start to do just a couple of rolls. So you can see I'm not doing too many. I'm trying to prevent making contact and pulling all the way through to the nose of the canopy.
How many is too many?
Until you make contact with the nose and roll it in. So like you'll see with a small canopy like this, there's 69. You'll maybe get 1.5 or 2. Like that's the maximum I would ever do. And then from there,
You'll notice as well, before you chuck that down,
yeah.
you're not really rolling it up the top there.
No, I leave that exposed. And that's something a lot of people do on sail canopies. The idea helping that the wind gets in there straight away and presents to the slider.
So before you lay it down, if you've got slack in the lines behind you, what should you do at that point?
I mean, depending on how severe they are, if they're terrible, you should definitely start again. You can tidy it up by pulling down. You'll see I can pull down here and it puts a bit of tension on the lines. I've done that to tidy pack jobs up that need a little bit of minor tweaking, but this is about where you want to be with the lines.
Yeah, she looks pretty toy.
Toy. Toy good. I'll then start to squeeze the air.
Do you
Squeeze a
the
little bit of
over
air
your
out here.
shoulder or on the ground?
It's either or. I just prefer to squeeze a little bit of air out here. And you'll notice it begins to pull from the bridle area. I'll actually put a bit of tension on there, just to help create the cocoon. And then from there, I'm just controlling with my hands and then just putting it on the floor, keeping tension right over this. And that's how she should look up to this point. So,
This is where I might take over because old Gammy knee can't put it in the bag the same way most people would.
nope.
So,
So,
he's
yeah.
gonna take the camera with him.
I'm going to take the camp. Oh shit.
That's it. Just smash it in the bag, is what I say. No, I'm just.
So the way you put it in the bag, is that size dependent? Do you do your first S-fold?
Yeah, for sure. Like, if you've got a big canopy, then you can do like your traditional S-fold. With the smaller canopies, anyone who jumps like the smaller petras or the smaller layers, no, it's not really sort of possible to do so.
So someone wants you to lick it. Does that help?
I'll give it a lick for you. Yeah, why not? So is this one?
69.
Is it?
It's a sexy number.
Dinner for two.
Hey.
Cool. So there's nothing really special about the way I do this. I just rest both my knees on it. And just make sure it's tidy the whole time. She brand new.
Yep.
This is the first pack job on it?
Yes.
There you go. Awesome.
You're welcome.
Well, it's the first half.
I just like to control that as much as I can. I guess one thing when you're doing, when you're getting the air out as well, if you go too crazy on it, you can start pulling these lines and creating like a mess. So before I do that, it's no pressure.
None.
It's brand new.
So if at this point I start seeing lines spilling out from where we're at the tail, what should I do? Is it salvageable or do you think we should start again?
Well, your best point from here is to get it in the bag and then have a look. Like I can't salvage anything like this. I'm pretty preoccupied trying to get this brand new layer in here. This D-bag's actually made for a 119.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm just really good. Alright, I'm just going to do this one stow quickly and then Brooks is going to take back over.
Alright. Well, I'll ask you while you're on it. Lots of people love tube stoves. Tell me your thoughts.
Tube stows are not a good idea. We here at Eurosports recommend big bands and double stowing them, and double stowing the locking stows as well. Yeah, for sure. If you've got tube stows, cut them off, get rid of them, and get big bands on because they're obsolete, they're old, and we know from testing and data received from other jumpers that they do cause a problem for sure.
So why do you double stow them?
Double stow them, we're just going to give it more tension. The stows as well. Like, I'd rather break a rubber band and have a good opening than single stow and have a bad opening. This will reduce the chance of line dump as well. So, for sure, we advise it, and we've advised it for a long time. I think a certain other company advises it as well.
Yeah,
Whose
yeah, they
name
do.
shall not be
They
said.
even have a slogan about it.
You can. I'll grab that off you.
Oh yeah. Oh hey guys. Okay. So this is sort of a next. When we're doing a lot of investigation into kind of the way we feel that the canopies open best, and in particular preventing problems like tension knots, we pay careful attention to the next steps. So that like, I'm going to come around this way. That's the way I do it.
So I know,
Oh, you've
I know
done an
this one-
excellent job, man. I like that.
So I know this bag's got rubber bands, but what are your thoughts on stowless bags, semi-stowless bags? Good, bad, pros, cons?
I prefer this. I keep saying it over and over again. This is my preference. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. These have worked for millions and millions and millions, maybe even billions of pack jobs.
Billions and billions.
Billions and billions. And so that's the way. This is the way I've always jumped. I have tried stowless. I'm not a fan, but people have no problems with them.
Yes.
There's no conclusive data to say that one is better than the other. This is just my preference.
Yeah, for sure. There's no, like, from all the information we got back from everyone out to the survey and all the data we have, there's no correlation between, in this instance, getting a tension knot and a semi-stowless bag. So that's just what you prefer.
So you'll see that the first line stow that Chris put in is not massive. So it's maybe just approximately over 2 of my skinny fingers. And that's about what we recommend throughout the whole of the line stows. So I'm
What
going
if you've got 2 big fat fingers?
to reduce it to small.
It's about 2 things, about 1.5 inches.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm keeping that as a consistency throughout the pack job. And I'll do this.
Okay, what would you consider as too big of a stow then?
So
that's about right?
I'll show you on the next one. I'll just try and over exaggerate a little bit. If I pull it through, I see people doing this. That's way too big. That is a point where you can probably start to connect with the other line stows as we go along. And I genuinely believe that this is probably causing a lot of people's issues with tension knots. So I'll take that back out, if you can.
So just to reiterate, you think it's very important to have super neat line stows?
Yes, yeah, this is the point where you can really alleviate a lot of potential issues coming up on deployment by getting this bit right. So yeah, so here we go. So as Chris touched on, it is important to make sure that your bands are in good condition and double stow.
So shouldn't be a cheapie and try and reuse rubber bands that are halfway used.
No,
Split.
I mean, what do they cost? And what is cutting away cost and potentially losing it, you know? So, I'm getting towards the point where I'd think about putting it in the bag. I'm probably going to do maybe one more stow to get to the point where I'm happy, and I leave about that much excess. Yay.
So what's too short excess? What's the minimum you should leave between your first stow and
With traditional
rises?
bags, I prefer to leave about, let's say that's just over a metre. Some people will come to just below a metre, that's fine. I like to leave quite a little bit more excess, and then I'll figure eight this into the bottom of the bag. I just feel like on deployment this clears your container a lot easier and gets the canopy in a better position for deployment.
Would you then say leaving a little bit too much is better than leaving a little bit too less?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
personally would say that.
Yeah, I would say leave more than less,
Yep.
definitely. Is there any
Cool.
questions?
So you can see, just look at what these stoves. They're small, they're clean, they're all even. So that's what, like, honestly, from showing you how to pack a layer, that's one of the big things that we got from all the information we got was smaller stoves, and controlling that slack obviously can help reduce. I think it's just clear to, we just need to reiterate as well, this is not like by any means a packing manual. These are just some tips and some some feedback that we got from our highly experienced jumpers, both who have had a high ratio of tension knots and malfunctions, and those who have done thousands and thousands of jumps and not had a problem at all. So this is just some things that we've learned over the last few months and trying to get all the data together. So these are not going to stop malfunctions, but we hope they go towards reducing them.
Got any questions?
pretty quiet in Facebook
Yeah.
land, no questions.
Has everyone gone to bed?
Okay, so I guess the last thing, no, that's pretty much it. This video will go up on our Facebook page as well, so if you ever want to come back to it and ask questions there, then for sure we're open to answering them. And I think that's pretty much it. So that's the Icarus Canopies by NZ Aerosports Facebook page, just in case anyone's wondering.
Who we are.
Cool.
All right.
And that has been a Chris, and I'm not going to show myself, Chris production. Bloody good, guys.
Have a good day,
Cheers.
guys. See you later.